Hey everyone, how's it going? It's been a while, but I felt inspired today, so I thought I'd talk about my new computer. Or is it a new computer? To explain this computer, I've got to tell you a little story. My old computer, which had served me fairly well for about 4 years, it was time to upgrade it, except money was a bit tight because 3 months ago me and my partner just moved unexpectedly. That costs money. Next month I'm getting married, that costs money. So I was like, I need a new computer, but I don't want to spend a lot of money. But then I thought about it and I thought, well, the RAM in my old computer is fine. The RAM it originally came with is still good. 2 out of the 3 hard drives in the old computer was still good. And the graphics card was still good. So I thought, did a bit of research and I thought, I know, I'll get a bare bone computer. Now when I bought this computer, it had no RAM, no hard drives, no graphics card and no operating system, and I got a really good deal. The seller, I did research, I found a computer that I liked, and I was eyeing it up, and I noticed the seller was going on holiday, so I contacted him and said, what kind of delay would there be? And he said, well, how about this? If you buy the computer you're interested in today, pay an extra £5, I will upgrade the processor and I'll get it out to you Saturday. It was really awesome. It came exactly when it did. Right, let's talk about the specs in this computer. Right, I've got all the stuff on my phone. Let's have a look. Well, the most important thing to talk about is the motherboard. And this one's got a GIGABYTE 78 LMT/USB 3. It's nothing, nothing incredible, but it's adequate for my job. Well, it's adequate for my needs. It's got 6 SATA ports. They're only SATA 2, but with the way things are at the moment, regular hard drives are not fast enough to take advantage of a SATA 3 connection. The only drives that are going to take advantage of a SATA 3 connection are going to be SSDs, and at the moment, because of capacity and price, most people like me are going to use one as a boot drive, which is what I'm using. So, right, in there I've got my boot drive is a 128GB Kingston SSD. I just literally use it for booting operating system and programs, and it's bloody fast. I mean, this new computer setup, once the BIOS does its thing, I'm ready to use it within 5 seconds, which is absolutely incredible. And to back up that SSD, I've got 2 500GB conventional hard drives. Now, the reason I tend to use smaller hard drives is because the bigger the hard drive, the more data you can lose, and the more time you got to spend backing it up. I tend to keep all my photos, videos, or all my digital content on my NAS. It's far more convenient because when I change computers, I haven't got to transfer a load of data over, and all my content is on a NAS, and it's pretty safe there. It's all backed up onto 2 hard drives. Now inside it, I've got 24GB of RAM. Now what I did was I used the RAM in my old computer. And in my old computer, it had 2 G-Skills, 8GB, running at 1,333 megahertz. And what my old computer originally came with, and I kept those RAM sticks, was 2 Kingston 4GB, 1,333 megahertz. Now, my understanding with mixing RAM is it can be a bit problematic, but this computer had 4 RAM slots, and the idea is you pair them. Now, my understanding with mixing RAM is you can do that as long as they're paired up with identical RAM. So basically, you got 4 slots. 2 would be one color, another 2 would be another color. So let's say in the blue pair, as long as they are the same brand, same make, same everything, and they were bought together as a pair, and as long as you're pairing with another pair that is technically, it can be of a smaller memory, but as long as everything else about it is identical, and all of them are identical. I mean, they all run at they're all 1.5 volt. They are DDR3 and same speeds. And I figured, well, I'll put the 2 8 gigs in there, and I'll put the 2 4. If the 4 don't work, I'll just go back to 16. Because I mean, quite frankly, yeah, it's great having 24 gigs of RAM, but I can't see myself having any need for it. But you can never have too much RAM. I mean, you can always create a RAM disk. And plus, having lots of RAM is great if you want to, have 30 web pages open or have all your apps run at once. Alright, let's talk about the graphics card. Now, I was originally going to put the graphics card in my old computer, which is just an AMD Radeon HD 6670. It's nothing amazing, and there are some new games coming out that I won't run with, because some of them require 2 gigs of RAM. My old one only had about 1 gigabyte of GDDR5. But I mainly use the old computer for a bit of everything and video editing. And my brother Neil, I was talking to him about the new computer, and he said, "Hey bruv, I've got a spare graphics card you can have." And the spare graphics card he was going to use as a physics card, but it didn't quite agree with his primary graphics card. So he said I could have it as an early birthday present. What he gave me was a GeForce GTX 750 Ti 2GB of GDDR5 RAM, and I'll tell you what, that graphics card is a beast. It is. Yeah, every game I run at it's run at max settings, at like a really high frame rate. So, cheers, bruv. By the way, if you're into gameplay videos, check out his channel. He does a lot of racing videos. He does a lot of videos in like 4K and stuff, and he's a huge PC enthusiast. So check him out and tell him I said hi. All right, what else is to talk about this new computer? Let's see. The most important thing is the processor. Now, originally this barebone computer was sold with an AMD FX 6300, and each of those cores run at 3.5 gigahertz, and that was a 6-core. And the dude actually upgraded the processor to the next one up, which is the AMD FX 6350 6-core, with each core running at 3.9 gigahertz. Yep, this bad boy has got 6 processors. And I tell you what, I knew going from an Intel i5 to that, it's going to be a bit different. I know that for multi-thread and stuff, this thing is going to be a beast. I know that for doing stuff that's only going to require a single processor, this wouldn't be as good. But I figured most of the things I'm doing are going to require, multiple processors anyway. The way things are going, everything's all multi-threaded and multi-processed. So I figured I'd be pretty good with an AMD processor, and I've used AMDs before, and they are really good processors, and I can't argue with this processor. It is a beast. The good thing about this computer is there's a lot of expandability. It comes with 6 SATA connections. I'm using 4. I've got 3 of them being used by hard drives, 1 being used by a SATA connection that creates a SATA port in the back, which I use for my Blu-ray burner. So yeah, I can put 2 more hard drives in there if I need to. Again, it's got 24 gigs of RAM, but I can swap out 2 of the 4 gig sticks and replace them with 8 if I ever so needed 32 gigs of RAM, which I don't think I would need, but you never know. It's nice to have that option. And the good thing is there's a lot of upgrading with the processor. So let's say a couple of years from now, I could upgrade this to an 8-core processor. Yep. Overall, I'm happy with this computer. I did my research, I planned what I was going to do with it, and everything went to plan, except one of the hard drives I was going to put in there basically showed signs of failing, so I retired it. And also, when I got this computer up and running, the fan was bloody noisy. It sounded like a jet engine taken off. So I did a bit of research, and I found out that it's pretty normal, because it was a stock AMD heatsink fan, and it's a really small one. And the problem with a small fan to keep a processor cool is it has to spin faster, and it gets really noisy. It was like unbearable, so I had to change it. I changed it for the I did a bit of research, and I went for the Arctic Air Cooler 64 Plus. It didn't cost me a fortune. It's pretty easy to install. I'd never changed a heatsink and fan on a processor before. I was a bit worried, but it went to plan. Did a bit of, everything went to, I did some research, and I watched a lot of YouTube videos, and it's quite an easy thing to do. So if you're thinking about changing a fan on your processor and you're a bit worried, don't worry about it. It's actually pretty easy to do. Changing the heatsink and fan not only made the computer really quiet, almost near silent at times. It also lowered the overall temperature. The processor, I think with the old fan, I think on idle it was 26 Celsius, and it peaked at around 66 Celsius. Whereas this, it hovers around 16 Celsius at idle, and it tops out about 46 Celsius I mean, I could be like pushing this thing to its limit, and it will not go beyond 46 Celsius. And I noticed that keeping the processor nice and cool makes it really stable. I mean, this thing is so stable. I mean, I think I've had it for about 3 weeks, and it came close to crashing kind of once. But because I was using Windows 10, it's got this thing where it can kind of like sort itself out. It takes a moment, and then it's up and running again. So is there anything left to say about this computer? Not really. I'm happy with it. I mean, I think just the bare bone computer cost about, I think it was about £190. I spent a little bit more money because I had to buy another hard drive. I also had to buy a new cooler for my CPU. So I probably spent, I'm guess maybe 230 max. And hopefully this bad boy should do my needs for the next few years. You know, I mean, I reckon it'll probably do me another 3 or 4 years. And in that time, I probably will upgrade the processor, probably upgrade the RAM, and maybe at some point have to change the graphics card. Now, I think I've gone over everything. So, yeah. Thanks, bro, for the graphics card. And, hey, if you need a new computer, maybe consider getting a bare-bone computer and using some of your components that are in your old computer. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you found it useful. And see you soon.